I'm handing that one over to Ron.
For the slow melt.
You've heard of it?
Yes, my head.
I was probably that far away now, solid for the night.
It's 75 degrees nice Wednesday. I was like, oh boy, what your boat's ready. Yeah, I saw that too. They changed it. Now it says 57. I think it's down to 56 now. They must have the numbers mixed up.
Somebody was just messing with it.
Yeah, I was like,
Was the snow a factor or no? Or was it? Okay.
First indication.
Okay.
We spent 3 years in the remodeling, and I talked to Tom yesterday. They tried to get him to do things a few years ago that he wouldn't do. He said the roof was collapsed.
I guess we'll have to.
It's 5:30, so we'll call to order this meeting for Monday, April the 3rd. Jordan, would you start us off with a roll call, please?
Please respond by stating present. Councilmember Ronayne, Foberg,
Present.
Liebelt, Reif,
Present.
Johnson,
Present.
Reinbold,
Present.
Langer,
Present.
Norvstrup,
Present.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Present. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will ask for a motion to approve this week's agenda, but I will note that I've got two changes. We've got prints in front of all of you that should indicate what we've got going, 2 additional bills, as well as some corrected copy for item new business A. So if someone would be so kind to make a motion with those amendments.
Motion to approve the agenda with the amendments.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Liebelt. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next, we've got the approval of the minutes for last week's meeting, which took place on March 27th, as well as a couple of amended minute notes we've got included here as well. Just indicating the payroll period was incorrect and will be corrected when published. Take a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Norvstrup and a second from Councilman Reif. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. No one here for open forum, so consent calendar has 4 items of routine city business. Would someone care to motion that?
Move to approve.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold, second from Councilwoman Liebelt. Anything from the council on any of these items to be placed on our consent calendar? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Move along to our new business where we've got the possible approval of a resolution 230306R, which authorizes Parks, Rec, and Forestry to apply for a land and water conservation grant for a playground and sidewalk access, which will actually be at the Kunert Arboretum. And Mark Hoven, I see you're back there. Why don't you take the podium and tell us a little bit about this grant application?
Yeah, this is part of the process that we go through for the land and water grants. As we apply for them, we need a resolution from the council. It's a 50-50 match, and they just want to make through the resolution that the council budgeted some money for 2024, the matching money for the grant, which is around $90,000 for the match, $180,000 for the project. I submitted to you some documentation in there, so you get kind of an idea what we're looking at. This is a concept that came out of 2019, and COVID took it out, and so we're back again. And our object is to put a fitness area with some fitness equipment down at the Arboretum, an area that sees a lot of traffic with Northern and the traffic that comes off our trails, Melgard Park, and we think it would be a nice advantage for the high school as well to use and for the general public. So they have these, the picture that I have in there is one that's in Rapid City that they have there, and talking to them, they get quite a bit of usage off of that as well. So we're going to go ahead and apply for the grant, and we'll see how it goes. Is there any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ripe, second from Councilman Reinbold. No questions from the council. Once again, Mark, appreciate you carrying this one. Hopefully we get those state funds to be matched so we can get moving forward on this. So we got a motion and our second. Nothing from the council. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Rife,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Mark, thanks for joining us. Next, we've got our possible approval for a resolution 230401R, declaring firearms and bows as surplus property, as well as to provide for trade-in on new items. Ron, were you gonna cover that? I see
Yeah,
Dave's walking up there.
yeah,
Why don't you kick us off?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is our routine resolution, and I thought I'd point out to the council that because we're dealing with surplusing firearms, we've always handled these by resolution as opposed to just motion, which you can do with personal property. But again, what we received from our property custodian over at the police department is a list of all of the firearms that have been cleared for disposition. And that means they either have been offered back to the property owner, and for whatever reason they didn't claim it, or they cannot have it. And these items have now come into the possession of the city, and we look to dispose of those through sale to a local firearms supplier.
Dave, anything to add?
No, other than we've done this for many years, and Ron pretty much stated everything. Unless there's some questions I can answer related to our process or how we do this.
Go ahead, Josh.
I'm just curious where the bows came from. Were those something that you confiscated, or?
I don't have the incident related to that. One might have been involved in an incident, and the other might have been found property, or we weren't able to get a hold of the individual to return it.
You in the market?
No, I'm just curious.
They're fun. Those compound bows are nice. I like them. I like them. If there's no other question.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, go ahead,
How
Councilwoman.
frequently does this happen? Once a year, or?
I would say it's once a year, based on what we receive related to the calls that we respond to, and then there's a process. It's usually related to a case. Sometimes they're found items, but it's related to a case, and the case goes to the state's attorney. The state's attorney goes through their full process, and then when the case fully reaches a disposition and there's a resolution, we're notified by the state's attorney that this is no longer needed. And then we begin our internal process of evaluation, and that's when if the gun can be returned to the owner legally, we try to do that, but many times people are prevented from owning or possessing firearms, so then it becomes a process that this has for us.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chuck.
They have to be sold to a firearms dealer?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
State law allows this process for us, but a transfer of firearms, it's really, really regulated by federal law and the ATF. So this goes to a licensed dealer, and then we have no involvement with it anymore. And if somebody were to want to purchase this, they'd have to go through federal background checks and evaluation through that system.
Satisfied, lady? All right. Any other questions from the council? I don't know that we've gotten our motion on that one. All right.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and second from Councilman Norvstrup. If there's nothing further, Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Rife,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Thanks for joining us, Chief McNeil. Appreciate it. As always, next we've got the public hearing and possible approval of a new retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license for Louis Tejeda, I believe. Doing business as Picante Burrito Express at 26th Avenue Southwest. No one here to speak on behalf of that organization, so I would take a motion if someone was so inclined.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion Rife, second Reinbold. Anything from the council before we take our vote? Jordan, would you give us a roll call on this one, please?
Councilmember Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt, Rife,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our public hearing. Possible approval of a one-day retail on-sale liquor license, which will take place on April 28th at NSU Foundation, doing business as Apex Events at the Bourbon and Brews event, which will be held at 620 15th Avenue Southeast. Take a motion if someone was so inclined, as no one is here to speak on behalf.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Councilman Northrup. Second, Rife. Anything from the council before we take our vote? Jordan.
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Rife,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Fauberg,
I'll abstain.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the review and approval of this week's claims and payroll. The bill list, of course, is for today, April 3rd, and this week, and payroll is for the pay period of March 26th through April 8th, as well as Social Security, old age, survivors insurance, retirement health, and life insurance.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson, second from Councilwoman Liebelt. Jordan, would you give us our final roll call vote of the evening, please?
Councilmember Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Rife,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. We'll move along to our city manager's report, where Mr. Joe Guy will tell us what's going on this week.
Well, this is the kind of stuff I don't think I've ever talked about in April before in my career, but if you think back not too many days ago, on Friday, we got about, I don't know, close to 8 inches of snow in less than that many hours. And we knew it was coming, but I have to admit, the public preparation was not good. If we were giving grades or receiving grades on the response to that, it would not be very positive. And the calls Friday night coming into the police department for people needing assistance who were not at all prepared to go out into that storm was quite alarming. And so then over the weekend, we started hearing that a storm that might dump 3 times more snow than that, and this is wet, heavy, late winter, early spring snow. I felt like we needed to maybe prepare a little bit differently. So this morning, we pulled together our emergency staff that responds to these, both our police, our fire, and our public works, and started talking a little bit. We had county emergency management and the sheriff's department in as well, and started talking about how we could prepare a little bit more. And I'm going to read the first paragraph of kind of a notice that we put out today, because this is why we felt we needed this. The National Weather Service has issued a blizzard warning for areas of northeast South Dakota, including Aberdeen. Snow is expected to begin late Monday night and continue through Wednesday evening. Total snow accumulation of 12 to 20 inches are expected, as well as persistent winds with gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour. This storm will make travel dangerous and likely impossible during the peak of the storm on Tuesday and Wednesday. That came directly from some information we get from the Weather Service, and that just to me sounds like we should be ready. So we wanted to share that. So we put out a public notice today to share that with the public. It's all over our websites and our Facebook pages, because likely what will happen in the midst of this storm somewhere with the wind and that much snow and that much blowing and the heaviness, we think there will probably be a no travel advisory in the county and the city, because we'll probably need to do that. That doesn't mean if you are emergency workers, you can't get out, and we've got some contingencies in place for that. But if we're out trying to save folks that maybe could have been home, it could take up some other time. And quite frankly, when it gets this bad, our emergency responders might not be able to come out unless it's just really a bad emergency. And we had it Friday night where people were leaving stuck cars in the middle of the road. And then if we had calls to get there with emergency vehicles, we couldn't get through. So we're taking a proactive step here at City Hall. We sent folks home today, prepared to work remotely for the next couple of days. And we anticipate that if this storm comes with the impact, we won't have our administrative offices open. Phone lines will still be available. Email will be available. Folks will be working. But we don't want to encourage folks to be out on the streets if they don't need to, but we still want to be serving the public. And we've taken some extra steps to make sure department heads are mobile and able to help where they can. We'll be pretty busy. But we put this out in hopes of reminding people that this is pretty serious stuff. And we think we'll be pretty well snowed under for the next couple days. And it won't be something that we can probably clean up totally in 24 hours. I think our response at the end's a little bit longer. We've got a staff that's already tired, so we are spacing them out over the next few days to make sure we're ready for this and taking a few different steps. But we wanted to share that. Again, that's out in the public, and hopefully it misses us and we're prepared for nothing, but that's okay if that does. We'll be okay with that. And ironically enough, a topic that we wanted to talk a little bit about, but not quite a lot because we're not quite ready, is spring flooding. And a council member asked today to talk about spring flooding, which usually this time of year is something we're worried about, and we're still worried about it. We just can't think about it because it's still winter here. We were actually supposed to have a meeting with emergency management last Friday that we canceled, or at least postponed till we got through that storm, and now we've got another one. But I wanted to ask Robin just to talk a little bit, because he is getting a lot of folks calling him about what do we do to be ready for this. So Robin, talk to us about what homeowners can do to be prepared.
First thing is, interestingly, in the midst of snow removal, I think more of our calls today were based on drainage. People are concerned about the water that's sitting in their driveway. Of course, that's the low spot. Right now, we've got so much snow pushed up along the curbs that's preventing the water or impeding the water from flowing to its normal path. A lot of the inlets for the storm sewers are under right now. A lot of those inlets we've opened up 2 and 3 and 4 times, and then we get another snow, and we are covering them back up again. So this has been a process of each and every snow we go back out and we try to open some things back up. At certain points, with thousands of driveways having water in them, we have to decide which ones are crucial, because you've got water perhaps running into structures or close to getting into structures. Those are the ones we're going to try to deal with first. After that, then we'll try to move snow or the ice and debris away from the gutter lines. That's kind of the initial thing. A lot of property owners will take their snow blowers out, and they're going to take some of the matters into their own hands and open things up as much as they can, and we encourage that if they can do it without creating a problem for their neighbor. And that has become another issue for us, that some property owners are taking things into their own hands and moving it onto other people's property, and that's not their call. So some of the things we're looking at right now as well is you've got rivers that are iced over. You're going to have our window for that gradual thaw is closing right now. So it's going to more than likely get warmer quicker on us, and that will mean that all of this snow is going to turn to water more quickly. We do have frost in the ground, so that water is not going to soak in as well as it should. Currently, the Weather Service has projected us in this area to be moderate potential of flooding, not severe, as of the last update. Now, we've had two, maybe 3 snows since then, so that forecast probably will change a little bit when we get the next update. But a lot of that, we will be meeting with emergency management. We will start putting things together, planning like we do every bad winter. We try to come up with plans to try to make sure people can help themselves. We have a lot of sandbags on hand and that sort of stuff. And we have a good levee system in place. We have a lot of things in place that will help the community as a whole.
Am I able to get?
Councilwoman Langer? That might have been a side conversation.
Okay. So in any event, we will be having the planning process put together as we get closer to the point where we're gonna start seeing more moisture going from the snow form to the wet form. There's gonna be a lot of things that will happen if people have the ability to make sure their sump pumps are operating, make sure they're paying attention to what's happening, because this time of year, a lot of times you don't know until that sump hole is full that your sump pump's not operating. If you've got a spare pump on hand, that's good. If you're waiting until your sump pump fails and you want to run to one of the hardware stores to pick one up, chances are your neighbors have already picked theirs up and you don't have one on the shelf waiting for you. So you're going to have to do some things to try to prepare for yourself. Right now, water's not going to go through your sump hose if it's running outside. If there's water in it, it's frozen and you're not going to be able to pump through that. So right now, you're probably going to have to pump back into the city system, into the sanitary sewer. That is allowed right now. We will give you a notice in the near future when we want you to pump it outside. But for right now, it's probably more likely you're going to want to do it into the sanitary sewer. And our Peggy's, the wastewater plant is not overloaded right now. So there's a lot of guessing that goes on this time of year, and we plan it out kind of a day at a time, and we try to give people as much notice as we can. But the more preparedness you try to do proactively around your own home, the better off you're going to be. And if you've had problems in the past, this might be a similar year to what you've had in the past. For those people who don't know or that are relatively new to the area, talk to your neighbors, find out what you should be preparing for. Most of the neighbors will be happy to share with you some of their stories.
So Robin, in terms of that storm drain inlets that usually occur near the end of each block, we're recommending that people go and clear those out from snow at this point.
If they've got the ability to, it's certainly one less thing that they have to wonder whether or not we can get there in the right time frame. We will do everything we can. We don't want structures going under, but a lot of the stuff right now is probably more of a nuisance than it is a danger to a home. But it is definitely a nuisance if you're stepping in 6 inches of water in your gutter line to get to your mailbox. That's problematic. Or people are concerned about slipping. The more you can do out in front of your place to bust some of that ice loose, the better off you're going to be. But it is ice, and it's tough going right now.
So 12 to 20 inches was predicted according to Joe's sheet here. What's your estimate? What would you bet on?
I'm betting anywhere from 8 to 30. So.
All right, fine.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Robin, this is kind of one of those springs where it looks like the moccasin might combine with the elm, right? And the elm might start flowing backwards into the James. I mean, there's going to be enough water volume up there that.
The James, they're projecting a little higher likelihood at Columbia that it's going to be in the major flood stage. But a lot of that is dependent on how quick things melt and if you can get the ice to break loose. A lot of this stuff is ice effect because the ice doesn't let loose. It backs water up upwards of 5 feet. That's in flat areas like Aberdeen is 5 feet, is a lot of difference. But there's, part of the elm system is going to run into the James. If that can't run in, then it's going to potentially overflow into Moccasin Creek. If Foot Creek is running hard, that also impedes Moccasin from flowing through. We've had more snow than this. Okay. So from a pure water standpoint, it's not concerning, but it is if we get the quick melt. That's the variable that we don't know yet.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Great information. If anyone is watching, make sure that you stay off the roads tomorrow once it starts.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. What have you got, Councilwoman Langer?
Sorry, I was trying to ask, but I don't think you guys could hear me. But 2 questions. With all the snow going on, somebody had asked me about trash pickup. Are we forecasting ahead? on something like that?
We have talked about the solid waste side of things. As of now, we are going to be picking up as usual tomorrow. In fact, we will be putting some extra people on and a couple extra trucks so we can get it done as quickly as possible, and we will go as long as we can do it safely. Obviously, if there are no travel advisories, things like that going on, at some point we would pull our crews from that and probably go into a snow removal mode. But for right now, we're going to try to pick up as much as we can on for Tuesdays. My guess is Wednesday is going to be difficult, if not impossible. So I would say that Wednesday we may not be doing it. And we will do something on Facebook to let people know at that point, or some kind of announcement. But Wednesday might be a little more difficult to do.
Thank you, Robin. Tiffany, did you have one more thing?
No, I asked Joe. I just wanted to get a rundown of, if I could get a rundown of everything that you discussed about the flooding and the precautions that people should take, just so we can share it, because those are the exact kind of things that Scott and I were just talking about today that we have no idea what we're supposed to do. So probably a good idea to distribute that as well when it gets closer.
Sounds good, Tiffany. Get your shovel and clear your drain inlet for one.
Definitely sounds right up my alley. I can't wait.
Perfect. Well, you're at the end of the block, right? All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else from the council have anything before we move to adjourn this meeting? All right, then I would take a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Northrup. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.